Tonight's program is calibrated to trigger the weak and the lame. You've been warned. If you are a man today and you are single with no wife, no kids, and no laziness, congratulations. You are winning. And I'm not just saying that to be hyperbolic. I brought you the numbers here tonight. So strap in, hang on tight. This is another program where Jason Black is bringing you the documentation and the numbers. Let's go ahead and start with it. Some things that might seem a little bit unseemly to you, but I want to put these things in their proper context because you've been lied to and most likely deceived about it before. So let's put it in this proper context for you here. Now, this was a story that had come out in 2022, September 2022, Fox 5 Atlanta. Atlanta ranks as one of, quote, most unfaithful cities in the U.S. per dating site. Let's go ahead and go into the numbers here. Atlanta is one of the nation's least faithful cities, according to a recent ranking published by a website that covers dating and relationships. MyDatingAdvisor.com studied 200 major U.S. cities looking at marriage, divorce, and separation rates to form its list of most unfaithful cities in the United States. Atlanta ranked number 9 on that list. Remember this. There's going to be a test. The ranking cited statistics showing Atlanta's marriage rate was 47% and its divorce rate was 9%. Atlanta's separation rate was listed at 2%. The ranking methodology also factored in the number of places to meet for an affair and the Google searches for the word affair and the affair hookup website Ashley Madison. Texas was home to the 3 least faithful cities: Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston. Oh man. Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston. But also the 4th and 9th most faithful cities, Laredo and McAllen, respectively. This is back in 2022. The 10 most unfaithful cities in America. Number 1, Dallas, Texas. Number 2, Fort Worth. Boy, that Dallas Metroplex was putting the hurt on you. Houston, Texas. St. Louis, Missouri. Nashville, Tennessee. Now, for those of you who've been following me for the last decade, you know I put the spotlight on Nashville nearly a decade ago. By the way, Davidson County blowing up, and where you see progress, you see progressive men, you see successful men. You have men with options. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. New York, New York. Knoxville, Tennessee. So Nashville, and then right down the road, Knoxville, Tennessee. Atlanta, Georgia, and Washington, D.C. Well, now, for the most faithful places here, I don't know how I believe this list or not, but Pasadena, California, Torrance, California, Roseville, California, Visalia, California. All I can imagine is a bunch of retirees down there and their rockers and strollers won't allow them to get around like that. So it's hard to cheat when you're driving a hover round. What? I mean, it's hard to get around and cheat. You know, when you got a walker and, you know, you got to drink some Ensure and some Depends. You know, it's hard to have a sneaky link when you got a bad hip, you know, and a cane. So, Laredo, Texas, middle of nowhere. Montgomery, Alabama. Orange, California. West Valley City, Utah. McAllen, Texas, another place, middle of nowhere. Syracuse, New York. This was 2022. September of 2022. This is November 2023. So just 2 months ago, New York Post, top 20 cities engaging in quote, adulterous behavior revealed. Is yours on the list? Florida residents might want to keep a close eye on their spouses this winter. Controversial online dating service Ashley Madison, which caters to married people and uses the slogan, "Life is short, have an affair." That's a hell of a slogan for a website, isn't it? Examined where members reside to determine, quote, hotspots across the world when it comes to adulterous behavior. Ashley Madison Chief Strategy Officer Paul Keeble provided Fox News Digital with an exclusive look at the 20 cities across America where the most Ashley Madison accounts are based. Hang on tight. Number 1, Miami. Number 2, Orlando. Number 3, Atlanta. Number 4, Las Vegas. Number 5, Tampa. Number 6, Cincinnati. Number 7, Minneapolis. Number 8, St. Paul. Number 9, Buffalo. I'm assuming they mean Buffalo, New York. Number 10, Pittsburgh. Number 11, Denver. Number 12, Cleveland. Number 13, Tucson. Number 14, Colorado Springs. Starting to see some points of connection here. Number 15, Anchorage. Number 16, Bakersfield. Number 17, Aurora. I'm assuming they mean Aurora, Colorado. Number 18, Seattle. Number 19, DC. Number 20, Portland. Now, there's a reason why I'm bringing this up. And there's a reason why I'm letting you know that the single men are winning. And the reason why I can tell you with such confidence that the single men are winning is because when you take a look at those lists, what do you really actually see there? Do you all realize what you really actually see? What you really actually see on that list is a list of all the places that men want to go, that men, particularly single men, like to be in. That's the point I'm making. Well, these are hot spots where the men like to go. This is where the fellas want to be. When you take a look at those lists, well, when you get past some of the, gaslighting and other things there, these are places where the men want to be. That's the crazy part about it right there is, by the way, these are the places where the men want to be. These are the places where the men go to hang out. These are the places where the men who have their finances and things together, well, this is a list of places where these men tend to congregate. That's the thing I want you to understand. When fellas have the advantages, what you just read is a list of places where the men go when they've got, the leverage and they got the advantages on their side, when they've done the hard work, when the men have done the work and built themselves. That's the thing I want you to understand. Talking about Miami blowing up, Orlando, Atlanta blowing up, Las Vegas, Tampa blowing up, Cincinnati, Minneapolis, and St. Paul, Buffalo, meh, Pittsburgh, Denver, but then Denver, Aurora, and Colorado Springs. So that whole area there in the Rockies is on and popping. Well, let's go a little bit further into the numbers. We're going a little bit further, and I know we're moving kind of quick here. We're only 9 minutes in. But if you agree with what you're hearing here tonight, give me the money bag emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. There's over 1,800 people in here live in just the first 9 minutes. If you agree with what I'm saying here tonight, fellas, give me the money bag emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. We want to represent. We want to represent. Or if they don't like it, let me go ahead and shut it down. There's a study here I want to remind you all about from Credit Donkey. Study of best cities to find single rich men. Percentage of single men, ratio of single men to single women, mean income of all men. So here's the list that they give you here. Denver, Colorado was number 10. San Diego, California, number 9. Philadelphia. So that's what I'm saying. You start to see some similarities between these things. You start seeing names and places pop up. Must be something to it. Hartford, Connecticut. Seattle, Washington. We could do this all night if you want to here. I didn't just bring you one reference. I brought you several references so you can cross-reference them and see, do you have corroboration? Seattle, Washington. New York, New York. Just saying. New York, New York. All right. Boston, Massachusetts. Washington, D.C. Just saying. San Francisco, California. And San Jose, California. And when you take a look, these are places where the men run the yard notoriously. D.C., Boston, New York, Seattle, Philadelphia, San Diego, Denver. And then you start seeing these things pop up here again. And what I'm telling you all is that to the winner goes the spoils. To the winner goes the spoils. So when you see these places like Dallas, Atlanta, New York, D.C., Philadelphia, Nashville, Fort Worth, Houston, well, these are places where men in general, but black men specifically, have gravitated to. They've gravitated, and as their money and influences come up, yeah, things are going to be a little bit different. So what I'm saying is that right now, the landscape today has become a single man's paradise. What? It's a single man's playground.
And deal with it, nigga.
That's what I'm telling you, fellas. If you are single, your money is straight, let me tell you right now, you running the yard. You have the whole field is wide open. It is wide open. There has never been a better time to be a single bachelor with options. Never in the history of the United States, quite possibly in the history of man, there's never been a better time to be a single male with no wife, no kids, no debts that are hampering you. To have options, there's never been a better time. Has never been. You've never had so much access to so many places. Fellas, you got cell phones, you got cars. Remember, these things are really just, in many cases, less than a century old. I want to remind you, fellas, about what it is that makes you so lucky in this regard. Many of these things are less than a century old. You do realize the airline industry is less than a century old. The interstate system is less than a century old. Now, the telephone system is more than a century old. The automobile is more than a century old, but the interstate system that connects you from one side of the country to the other, that's less than a century old. The airline industry, the ability to fly from one city to another within hours, to fly anywhere in the country within hours, not days. Driving takes days. Flying takes hours. Calling takes seconds. You've never had this much access, this much mobility, this much ability to connect to the rest of the world and to physically be there. Let me go ahead and say this a different way. You can go from calling up a chick to getting flued out literally the same day.
What?
Literally the same day. You can be in Philadelphia, she can be in Dallas, and thanks to Spirit Airlines, you both can be standing in front of each other within 4 or 5 hours. That's where we're at today, right now, as we sit here. While all these other people are trying to give you gloom and doom and telling you what they can't have. You know, the red pill guys over there, these lifelong losers, they're sitting over there feeding you the gloom and doom. I'm telling you, by the way, we're empowered over here. I don't see anything but options. I don't see anything but options. So if you're a single man today, if you're a single man today who has done what you're supposed to do, gotten yourself money and options, and you have the ability to know how to socialize with people, you got basic social skills, you winning right now. You're winning. Your money's straight, your credit is straight. You didn't let some broad sit up here and shackle you with a wedding ring or some bastard kids. Man, you on top. You are on top right now. You've got everything that everybody's looking for, and you've got a monopoly on it. Jason, how can you say you have a monopoly on it? Let's go ahead and just get ultra competitive with it here. Let's just go ahead and go there with it. What is it that everybody wants? Everybody wants the same damn thing. They want a producer. Oh, but here are the numbers to be a producer. This is non-negotiable. Either you got it or you don't. Either you got it or you don't. It doesn't matter how somebody feels or what they wish were true. These numbers are the law of the land. Either you've got the number or you don't. If you've got the number, you got the leverage. Period. Point blank. End of discussion. You don't have to negotiate or talk. These numbers do all the talking. These numbers do all the talking. If you are a single man and your numbers are looking like this, dude, you winning. No wife, no kids, no child support, none of that old crazy crap that the losers got going on. Man, you winning. You are winning right here. I'm showing you the literal proof. You are winning. And let me tell you, it will show absolutely no signs of slowing down, because time is your ally. Time is your friend. Let me remind you all one more time, and I've gone over this before. Let me remind you here one more time. Women want to have a certain life. They want to be a certain way. The biggest lie that a woman tells you is that she's okay with your wage job. Please, every woman wants to be a princess. Every woman wants to be top of the line, period, point blank. Every single female. Yo chick, yes, the one you got right now. Yes, yo chick. Yes, Miss size 16, Miss size 18, Miss size 22. She wants her pedestal also. Yeah, she wants it too. You remember when she told you she was all right not getting it? Nigga, she lied. She's lying to your face. She is looking you in your face and lying to you. They are all the same. Fellas, none of these other folk here are telling you this. I'm not talking about dating. I'm discussing power dynamics. They are all the same. When it comes to men and sex, we are all the same. Well, guess what? When it comes to women desiring to be adored and desiring to be pampered, they are all the same. They're all the same. There might be a slight tweaking here or there, but they're all the same. That's why the methods you use work across the board, because they're all the same. And if she tells you that's not what she wants, she's all the same because she's lying. She thinks that's the answer you want to hear. And then when you said, I can't believe she was sitting up here laying up with Pookie Ray. Okay, well, she lied to you, dude. That's it. She wants it. You may give up on becoming a producer, but your woman will never give up on becoming a producer's woman. That is her lifelong ambition. So even if you don't have a lifelong ambition of being a standout man, she has a lifelong ambition of being a standout woman. And what makes her a standout woman is not the same as what makes you a standout man. That is why trading you in can be a more frictionless process than you suspected it would be. Your ability to change who you are has a lot of difficulty and friction to it. Her ability to switch from one man to another is easier. So you can deceive yourself if you wish to, but the only one you're deceiving is yourself. That's the way that works. If no one else is brutally honest with you, I am being so. But let's go ahead and talk about the nuts and bolts of this, because let's talk about where the leverage really lies here. Let's go ahead and put all the bull crap to the side. Now, you all remember I've reminded you about this before. Let's talk about females who are millionaires. Let's talk about females who are millionaires here. Now, I've covered this last year. Coming back to this one more time here. Who are the women in the top 1%? Married women are 991% more likely than single women to be in a 1% household, according to the analysis of the Federal Reserve data collected between 1995 and 2016. The equivalent number for married men is just 70%. These figures are adjusted for race, age, and the presence of children. However, married women's odds of being in that 1% are higher because they have access to their spouse's income. What? In other words, this 991% more likely, these are women, we're counting his money as being hers. So yeah, it's not really her money, it's his. Among top percentile households, the woman's income was needed to help the household meet the threshold for the top 1% only 15% of the time. This last sentence is the damning one. This last sentence is the math. This last sentence is the immovable object. This last sentence. Just 4.5% of women earned enough alone to enter the 1%. Take a look on your screens. You see what the 1% is, although for men and women it's a different number, obviously. For the women, it's going to be a little bit of a lower number. But yeah, only 5% of women, 5%, well, this is actually less than 5%, 4.5. Less than 5% of women earn enough money on their own from their own independent wages. Strong, independent, I can do what a man do. Clearly you can't earn what he earns. Only 4.5% are able to earn enough money to put themselves in the top 1% without assistance of using a man's income. That's all together. That's the math. That is the math. You're not going to get around that. You're not going to get around that because you got other issues that are at play here. What happens when a woman is unable to achieve the goals that she sees in life for herself? What happens when that occurs? When she realizes that she's running out of time, when she realizes that she's got more work than years available in front of her, what happens to her psyche when that occurs? I'll show you what happens to the psyche. What happens is this. What happens is this. Now, I could read the whole article to you, but what you see on your screen right there, that's really all you really need to see. That's everything right there. CDC states that 1 in 5 women between ages of 40 and 59, that's a 20-year gap, are on antidepressants. Buffalo mental health expert shares reasons why, and that's shown on the screen here, where they show the factors that can lead to depression among women. Number 1, grief and or loss, though they don't say the loss of what. Becoming a caretaker for a parent. Well, so much for nurturing. Financial worries. Becoming an empty nester. You notice that these are things that generally, when they're put on men, it's not much of an issue. But for women, well, these are things that are major causes of sending them into depression. So you see, even if she does go off and go get kids and decides that she's going to become a single mom and sit up here and whatnot, well, she's got a prescription for Zoloft waiting for her. She's got a prescription for Zoloft waiting. Becoming a caretaker of a parent. Why? Well, because that is a personal and financial burden. Financial worries. Well, we've already covered what that is. You see, she sees herself a certain way in this world. She has aspirations. Fellas, do you realize the woman you are with has aspirations, man? The woman that you're with has aspirations. She has things that she wants. She has things that she wants to do. She's got some stuff that she wants to accomplish in this world. She has a vision and an image of where she wants to be and what she wants to do with her life before she's gone. Most men discount that, but every single woman does, including the one you're talking to. Now, maybe she doesn't want the same thing that you want necessarily, but she's got ambitions and dreams of her own. So what happens when she slams face first into the brutal reality that will not happen? That she starts to actually accept the numbers and accept the math and accepts that the probability basically excludes this from being possible. What happens? So you see, she can go off and go have the kids, and well, that's going to lead to financial burdens, and a lot of what she wants to do goes flying out the window. So you see, that's the reason why for 95% of females, if they are going to make it, they're going to have a man to do it. It will not be optional. She's going to need a man. The math is against you. The math is against you. Don't believe me? Let me go ahead and lay it down brutal on you. Playing no games tonight. Bringing all the numbers for you. Let's go ahead and take a look at what the ladies really want here. Because ladies, you're not being honest with these fellas out here. You got to be honest with them and let them know, hey, by the way, the price is the price. Most women are afraid to say that. Most women will not say that. But fellas, don't believe what women say. Believe what they do. Take a look at the fellas that they sit up here and drop you on a dime to go chase after. They chase after productivity. The ladies, I'm telling you here, fellas, if you believe the lie that she tells you that she doesn't really want that G-Wagon, she doesn't really want that Bentley, she's perfectly fine driving your Nissan Altima. You can tell yourself that if you wish to. You can tell yourself that if you wish to, but that's a deception that you are feeding to yourself. You're certainly not feeding it to her. Fellas, they really do mean that. They really do mean that. Just like you fellas, when y'all sit up here and talk, when you tell her you want a threesome, you really mean that? You really mean it when you said that. Well, guess what, fella? When she says she wants a G-Wagon or a Bentley, she really meant that. She really does mean, yeah, I really do want that. Yeah, I know the price is out of this damn world, and I really do want it. Yeah, I really want that. No, I'm not kidding. I really do expect you to figure out a way to get that. Now, when she has to go to the car dealership, Honda Accord. When you go to the car dealership, you got to pull out all the stops. But is that really feasible? Why don't we go ahead and take a closer look at that and see? Now, you know I've done this before here, but I want to remind you all about this again in the current interest rate environment. Let's go ahead and go over the numbers here. Let's take a look at the price for basically a BMW X5 or a stripped down X7, something in that range. You might be able to even get, a Yukon or something like that for that kind of price. $80,000. Let's just put it at $80,000. You can pick up a stripped down GLS or something like that for 80. BMW X7 for 80,000 stripped. Although really it's going to be closer to 90. But I'm just putting you in that ballpark. 7% interest rate, 5-year note. Now, if you put down the amount of money you're supposed to, the 20%, you put down $16,000. And that will leave you with a monthly payment of $1,267.28. That is not counting insurance, maintenance, and all the rest of that. That is just if you can satisfy these terms and if you can put down the $16,000. Let's just say that you could not do that. You can only put down the $8,000. Oh boy, $1,425.69. That's just for the car by itself. Nothing else, just the car on its own. BMW X5, stripped down other luxury car or whatever. That's just to get one of those. Why don't we move on up to the girl's boy toy? Let's go ahead and see you can go find a G-Wagon. Let's just say you can go find a G550. We're not even going to start talking about G63s. Let's go ahead and say you can go find a G550. And let's just say that you can pick up one that doesn't have some out of this world market rate adjustment. Let's just say that I'm being very, very nice right here and leaving the price at $150,000, 7% interest rate, 72 months. I'm not even putting the people's elbow on you. You make a down payment of $3,000. That's a monthly payment of $2,500. Let's just say you put a down payment of $30,000. Now that's your 20%. If you put down what you're supposed to put down, $30,000, well, then you'll have a monthly payment of $2,045.88. Oh, but sorry, you can't find a G-Wagon without a market adjustment. So you're going to have to pay $180,000. That's going to give you a monthly note of $2,557.35. But fellas, she ain't bullshitting. She wants that. That is what she wants. That is what she expects. She is lying to you when she tells you, oh, I'm all right without that. No, she is not. She really expects to get that G-Wagon. She expects to get that. Yes, she really does. Let's bump it on up the road here a little bit. Let's just say the Maybach GLS 600. An incredible vehicle. By the way, if I do say so myself, the Maybach GLS 600 is an incredible vehicle. Price point here, and I'm being kind with this one, $200,000. If she wants to get them big double M's, $200,000. 7% interest rate. I'm giving you 72 months, and if you pay what you're supposed to pay, the $40,000 down, if you pay the $40,000 you're supposed to pay, well, then you'll walk away with a monthly note of $2,727.84. That's not counting insurance, maintenance, and everything else you're going to need. $2,727.84. That is just for the car. If you put down less than that, let's just say you only put down 10%, $3,068.82. Now, if you get a fully equipped one right now in this market, that could run you up to $220,000. That would give you a monthly payment under these terms of $3,409. $3,400. Let me tell y'all right now, when your chick gets in one of those things, she will be singing. Believe me, she will be singing. And if you can't afford it, you will be screaming. The Maybach is a very nice vehicle, but it comes with a very hefty price tag. But guess what? She wants it. She wants it. She doesn't want to pay for it. Let's move on over here to the next one here. Let's just go ahead and say that for argument's sake here, you go a little bit further here. She wants that Bentley Bentayga. She's like, yeah, the G-Wagon is a little bit beneath me now. I want that Bentley Bentayga now. Okay, well, fellas, here's what you're looking at for that. $300,000. 7% interest rate. Let's just say you have 72 months to pay. And if you pay the 20% down that you're supposed to pay, well, that will only run you $4,091.76 a month. If you go lower than that and pay 10%, well, that's going to go a little bit further. $4,603. Now, here's the kicker. Here's the kicker that I want the fellas to understand. You can sit up here and listen to the dead red pillars and all these clowns and the manosphere morons and the rest of these imbeciles. But what I'm telling you is that what you see on here, paraphrasing the Merovingian, where others see obstacles, I see cost. There's a price for everything. And what I'm saying is that this is giving confirmation. This is what allows you to do this right here. This is what allows that. There's a reason why this list looks the way it does. Miami, Orlando, Atlanta, Las Vegas, now Tampa. Let me tell you that these are not cheap places. These are places where you will normally see these kind of vehicles traipsing by. There's a reason for that. What I'm saying is for the single men. When you take a look at the yachts going out on Biscayne Bay, those are single fellas. Those are single men. That's what I'm telling you. Those are single men. You're talking about Denver, Colorado Springs, Aurora. So you're not too far from Vail and Aspen. Once again, those are single men. Those are single men. Atlanta, you know how we get down there. Those are single men if they're smart. Even the guy who's laying up with Fannie the Mammy Willis. He's like, hey, I'm dumping the wife now. I'm about to hit the mark and be single. Do you think he's going to marry Fannie? You think he's going to go marry her? How many of you think that when he finishes finalizing this divorce with his wife, that he's going to go marry Fannie? What? By the way, I was listening to the hearing that they had here today. They haven't determined if she's going to have to testify or not, but there is one thing they have determined. I heard the judge sit up there and say that, by the way, the children are at the age of majority. So there isn't any discussion of child support or who the kids want to live with. The kids are at the age of majority. The only thing that they're in court now to discuss is dividing community property and alimony. And that is the only thing that they are there to discuss. The judge said we're dealing with a math equation right now. The only thing we're here to discuss now, the only thing we're really getting to is to figure out how we're going to divide up the community at property and what the alimony will be. And that's it. He's already done the math to send her back to the to send her the discount bin. That's it. 50 years old, she's done. He's going to be like, man, look, I had the wife, I had the kids. He done dealt with the divorce. He's like, look, my money is straight, my status is straight. What the hell are you talking about marriage? Why do I got to do that? Let me run these streets. Let me live stress-free. I'm not going to have any more entangled alliances. Let me go ahead and leverage what I done built and done did. Let me go ahead and leverage that. He's in prime position. He's in prime position to do so. And that's what I'm saying to the fellas here. They telling you all that this is adulterous behavior. What you call adulterous behavior, I call options. Now, I don't endorse people being liars. That makes you a worthless individual. But what I am saying is that a lot of these folks engaging in this, quote, adulterous behavior, they're coming to places where young or able single men are running the yard, and a bunch of married dudes who are very much regretting that they fell for the bait. They were desperate. They were dumb. Now they wish they could be single men. They want to move like the single men with no kids that they wish they were. So it hurts their souls to have to go to a place like Miami or Atlanta or Vegas or Cincinnati or Buffalo or Denver and see these young dudes with their money straight. And then you're looking in his car, he got a chick, but ain't nothing else. No kids, no child seat. You know he is free. He is free. He is all the way free. These married men can't stand it. These married fellas can't stand it. Every time you go online, you see a bunch of females talking about how much they love being married, but they never tell you what they're doing. So they're soaking up a bunch of benefits. They're never telling you about what the hard work or labor that they're doing to justify that. Now, they do talk about what the men do while the men are working their asses off, and the men are putting in tremendous amounts of labor. The females, when they talk about what they love about marriage and when they talk about their responsibilities in marriage, it's nothing. They never name anything. Oh, my job is just to sit here and soak up benefits. You notice the females do all that jaw jacking and yammering about how great marriage is. You notice the men are dead quiet. Damn! Y'all ever notice that? The men are dead quiet. Their husbands are dead quiet. He ain't bragging on nothing. He ain't cheering on nothing. He's not posting about nothing. He's talking to the other men about single women. What? Oh yeah, the married fellas, when they get online, they talking about single people. Don't you know he's looking with wanderlust? Look it up. Don't you know he's looking back with regret? He's like, I'll be damned. I cashed out all my chips. I cashed them all out. Boy, what I wouldn't do to be able to go back and be one of these single fellas here with the money straight, the status straight, knowing what I know, get back out here in the game and have the options and don't have somebody sitting up here telling me what I'm going to do or holding the threat of divorce over my head and financial devastation if I don't. I did tonight's program because I wanted to show you all the concrete facts and the concrete numbers. If you are a single man today with no wife, no kids, a good work ethic, disposable income, and you got some ambition about you, let me tell you right now, it's never been a better time to be where you at. It's never been a better time. You've never had more options. The lane has never been more wide open. And not just in one place. Look at the list of places here. From the Sun Belt to the Northeast, to the Pacific North. This is everywhere. The Midwest, this is everywhere. No passport required. This is everywhere. If you're a man who's working and building and not some lazy ass, dude, it's all there now. It is all there now. Right now. Now I'm going to go a little bit further with you here. Going to go a little bit further. Now, truth be told, if you want to hit a home run, of course, you can purchase one of these. You can do that. But fellas, I got to remind you about the company car. I think that every man, I really feel like going forward here, you haven't solidified your position until you got the company car. When you talk about feeding the troops, when we talk about and discuss feeding the troops, let me tell you, going forward, fellas, the bar has been raised. You're going to have to, fellas, I'm just saying this, the picture is not complete until you got that going. The picture is not complete. The competitiveness is not confirmed until you got that going. Till you got that going. And I'm just telling you right now, Think of it as what it is. It's just a producer tax. It's just the cost of doing business. It's the fee that you pay to be a producer. That's all it is. That's all it is. It is the fee that you pay to be a producer, and you shouldn't have an issue with that right there. You shouldn't have an issue with that, with distinguishing yourself. I want fellas to understand that right now. We don't do ourselves any favor by making ourselves available for the riffraff. Yeah, I said it.
And deal with it, nigga.
We don't do ourselves any favor by allowing ourselves to be associating with the riffraff. They bring down the damn property values. Fellas need to start valuing, distinguishing themselves. These fellas are sitting up here, man, you got a 100-pound work ethic and you got dudes sitting next to you who got a 15-pound work ethic. No, we need distance between us so that people don't confuse us for you. That's the reason why we make it hard for you guys to stick around us, because we don't want anyone confusing us with you. The fellas who don't produce, the fellas who don't have any ambition, the fellas who don't want leverage, the fellas who don't want power and influence, we need to distinguish ourselves from you. The fellas who want to be, that their life at 50 looks the same as their life did at 30 and 20. No. No. We don't have anything for you. And if you are a single man today who stacks those things up properly here, you don't have a damn video game console habit, you don't have a drug habit, and you are focused like a laser beam on stacking the deck in your favor here, that's the reason why I'm just showing you all, man, the lane is wide open right now. The lane everywhere. There's a spot for you anywhere you thinking of right now. There is a spot for you anywhere. Now, some of the ladies here, I want you all to understand, some of the ladies here might have a little bit of regret about that because they're trying to figure out where they fit in. Ladies, you will fit in, but all this means, just understand, is that the easy days are over. Ladies, all it means is that up until now, you haven't had to compete. And I know you got lazy, you got sloppy, you got used to Pookie and Ray Ray, you got used to having a Section 8 voucher, and you got used to having an easy-to-get government job and run off at the lip online and whatnot. And now a lot of you are having to pay the damn piper. But ladies, what I'm telling you is that the world is not sitting up here becoming crazy. All that's happening is that now you have to actually compete. If you've been sloppy and lazy for so long, then actually having to apply any sort of effort, while you feel that's just mortal torture. No, it is not. You've been living lazy all this time. And you're just going to have to actually put forth some effort now. You know what your grandmama and your great-grandmama did. You're going to have to do that. Because you're requiring the men, when you take a look at the cost of inflation, you are requiring the men to be 5 to 10 times more than their father and their grandfather was. Well, ladies, inversely, what that means is that you are going to need to be 5 to 10 times the woman that your mother and your grandmother were. Unfortunately, most of you are half to 10% the woman that your mother and your grandmother were. You've gotten used to being sloppy, lazy, unaccomplished, not holding up your end of the bargain. All we're saying is that now you're just going to have to hold up your end of it, or don't. Or don't. That's an option for you too. You can go sit on Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and go hang out and pretend and fantasize. You can go do that too. You can go and get your prescription for your antidepressants. One of the things that they said in that article there that I was showing you all here before, one of the things they were talking about there was that women, one of the things that women can do is go and get them a pet. that one of the ways to deal with the threat of antidepressants and with dealing with depression is, well, if you go get a pet. Let me tell you right now, fellas, a female who comes up to you with a pet that is not wife material, that is just straight side chick material. I talked about this before. Women running up to you with tats, brats, ats, pets, and plants. She got tats, brats, ats, pets, and plants. No. Because what she has done is she is using psychological and emotional crutches. That dog, that cat, that pet is her family. That's her friend. So that creature is what she uses to insulate herself. So a lot of you fellas here are like, I don't understand how it is that she could have just cut me off so cold like that. Dude, she was never there. She wasn't in a relationship with you. She was in a relationship with the damn dog. She was in a relationship with these damn kids. And you're just hanging out. You telling yourself that you got some position. No, you're not. You're just hanging out. You saw them kids and them pets when you got there. That's her family. You're not going to move that. She is expressing to you her mental and emotional issues. She is showing you that these are her insurance policy. This is how she insulates herself from committing to you completely. She doesn't have to commit to you completely. She's got distance and insulation between you and commitment. She's committed to the kids. She's committed to the dog. She's committed to the pets. She's committed to the job. So that is why a man needs to make sure it's like, okay, when you see warning signs, you act accordingly. Fellas, you cannot afford to be this naive. I don't care how nice she is, how polite she is. I don't care how engaging she seems. When you see pets, red flags, you can ignore it if you wish to. Just understand, when you see her sitting up here acting a fool, the dog will be sitting there next to her. Wow, you sitting here talking about she's so cold. I don't know how she could just flip on the switch like that, dude. She didn't flip on the switch. She was never in. She was never in. As men, that is essential for you. As men, it is essential and it will be essential. However, some of you might disagree. Therefore, the telephone lines are now open, and the number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933, your personal access code to the program that all your favorite YouTubers love to hate watch. This is The Biz. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Thank you very much for your support. To my man, DMV Nation there, thank you very much for your support. We appreciate that. Thank you very much for checking in with us here tonight. The Sneak 2008 Tamal Controlled Substance Podcast and everybody else here, thank you very much for your support as well. We appreciate that. And I'm holding tonight's program here because I want to tell the fellas what they have been hearing. Fellas, if you're single today, you're winning. Across the board, you're winning. They're going to try to shame you. They're going to try to make you feel bad. Fellas, if you got options, you're winning. You're winning. But don't expect any of these outlets to sit up here and explain that to you in simple English. You are winning. I want you to understand what winning looks like. Winning does not mean having the chick around forever. Winning means having your options around forever. That's what winning looks like. Winning looks like always having the cards stacked on your side of the table. That's what winning looks like. That's what winning is. Don't let these other folks up here and deceive you into thinking it's something else. That is what winning is. Let me go ahead and toss the Zoom link in the chat room as well. Let me go ahead and toss it up there as well. Remember, we do give Zoom priority. Just make sure that you have your camera and your microphone turned on, but we do give Zoom priority. I'm going over the numbers here tonight. I'm going over the numbers tonight because I want the men to understand this, that when you see a city like Atlanta and whatnot, and there's a reason why Derek Jackson is hanging out over there and whatnot. He's certainly upholding the banner of qualifying Atlanta among the most unfaithful cities. So he's certainly doing his part. So slow clap for him. But I just want you to understand that what this really tells you is that if you're a man who is single, I do not endorse liars. I don't endorse adultery or lying. I don't endorse that whatsoever. But what I am saying is that the reason you got these guys lying is because they wish they had the attributes that the men who are legitimate have. Derek Jackson wished he were single. Think about that for a few moments. He got married, he got the kids, didn't even make it down the aisle, didn't make it down to the altar before he starts cheating on his woman. He's like, I'll be damned. Just as soon as he sat up here and signed those documents, buyer's remorse. Buyer's remorse. What was the first thing he did? Hey man, I wish I was single with no kids. You're all looking at him like, but you're not single with no kids. You're married with hella kids. Yeah, but I need to be. What's happening in these marriages? What's happening in these homes? That's the real thing that fellas need to ask themselves. What is happening in these places that has these fellas willing to risk it all, willing to lose it all, to come back over here where we are? What I'm saying is that the single fellas out here have allowed feminist propaganda and bitter basic broads on the internet to sit up here and gaslight you into believing that somehow you're missing something. You ain't missing a damn thing. Remember, marriage is an upgrade for a female. It's a burden for a male. So, of course, she's like, marriage is the best thing since sliced bread. Well, for her, yes, of course it is. That's why she's applying all the pressure on you. But it isn't that for them. It's a burden for you, which is why she is endorsing it. It is not a burden for her. If marriage were the same burden for women as it is for men, women wouldn't even be talking about it. That's why it's up to the fellas to be more responsible and smarter with themselves. Let me get on over here to the telephone lines. Let me get caller from area code 937. You're on live with the business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Jamal calling from Dayton, Ohio.
Jamal from Dayton, what's on your mind?
Hey, man, I appreciate this broadcast because I'm a trucker, and honestly, what I'm getting out of this is I'm doing okay, but it's a lot more I can do. And it's like it puts a fire inside me because I called the Patreon about 2 weeks ago. I was the dude that was telling you about I was dealing with multiple females, and you was like, you need to cut them off and just find at least two of them. You don't have enough time to have all of them having access to you. So now it's like my blinders is on, and this is more motivation to let me know.
Yeah, because you see, there's a problem right there because when you have so many females competing for your attention at the same time, remember, you only have so much spare time in a day. It is in their best interest to swarm your time because they're trying to knock off the rest of the competition. So every time that you switch out and you're giving somebody else some attention, you got this rotation going, just remember, for them, it might only be 30 minutes or an hour of their time. But if you got 3 or 4 females, that's 3 or 4 hours of yours. So it's worth it to them as individuals to give up 30 minutes or an hour trying to knock off the competition. But it's costing you more than that. So that's the real caveat to keep in mind. Not so much there's more than one, it's that this is costing you here. The other thing is you got to get your situation a little bit better there because right now there's not enough of a deterrent. You don't have enough of an incentive package to give to be able to maintain that. There's the real issue. And the quality of the females has got to get stepped up as well. I'll talk to you about that also. The quality of them has got to get stepped up as well. Fellas got to understand that though women are a representation of you, If you're coming through the door with basic broads, well, she's down for sex. I mean, that can't be the standard anymore. The standard cannot be she down for sex. The standard has to be, does she raise your status? And if the answer is not an absolute, Jason, absolutely she does, and I should be able to look at her and see if she raises your status. If the answer is not an unequivocal Jason, absolutely, then no, she shouldn't be taking up that much real estate.
Man, I understand because, like you said, you got to look at the warning signs, and it's like, I'm not gonna lie, I've been willfully naive, knowing this, but then it's like every time when you go astray, it's like every time I come back to you, it's like you messing up, and then it's like my conscience saying, man, you could do better. What are you doing? So, and it's like every time I listen to your broadcast, it's like you just keep elevating it more and more. So it's like, okay, I might be doing all right, but I can be doing way better than what I think I am.
Now, that's an important element right there. Now, that's an important element, that you are constantly looking to a better place. I was talking about this on my Patreon. It is essential that a man constantly have his eye towards something better. Always. No matter what's going on, no matter what you do, you have always got to, as soon as you finish one thing right there, it's always got to be clear and obvious. You're looking towards the next thing, that you have something else you're moving towards. That doesn't come with an expiration date. See, there's where your power and your leverage as a man comes from, is when you can sit there and look a woman in the eyes and she's impressed with what you've done. And you're like, yeah, but I got further I'm trying to go. That's what gives us our power, our value, our leverage as men, that we've got someplace better that we're on the way to, that no matter where you touch us in life, no matter where you encounter us in life, no matter where you meet us in life, you're meeting me along the journey to another place. So whether you're here or whether you're not, I'm still going to a better place. Now, you might not get to go with me, but it doesn't matter how well you think I'm doing or how well things look now. I got my eye on something better. And when I get to the next place, I got my eye looking over the horizon to something better still. That's what gives men our value. When we start to sit down and get complacent, when we say we got 3 chicks, let me cruise, just remember you just became uncompetitive. And the females will sit there with you, and that's a dangerous situation. A female who's okay with you being uncompetitive is a leech. If you do have a female who's all right with you being uncompetitive, just remember she's a leech. That's why she's okay with it, because you're doing way better than she ever will, but she's just there to leech off of you, and she's hoping that you'll be complacent because she can't do no better. You want to know how you keep leeches off of you? Be a person who's constantly improving. Because you will be constantly reevaluating the people around you to see whether or not they're keeping up with you on your path to that better place. That's how you get to be able to recognize leeches. Or just people who can't keep up. I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah. A couple of days ago, I was listening to a few of the archives on Patreon. And I want to say it was the lessons of women, if I'm not mistaken, and the first rule was women have no problem wasting no time.
Which is why I just explained there. Relative to what you expect, they don't have a problem wasting it there, because it is the cost to them is very low. The cost to you is high. The cost to her is going to be actually low. You're going to have to maintain that value yourself. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 347. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
How's it going, Brother Jason? This is Lex from Brooklyn.
All right, Lex from Brooklyn. What's on your mind?
I thought the call you had was a phenomenal call, number one. It really resonated with me. But I just had a few quick questions. So I wanted to first ask you, in your previous broadcast, you mentioned in order to be a producer, one should, strive to double their income. Is it every 24 or 36 months? 24 to 36 months? Correct me if I'm wrong.
24 to 36 months, yes.
Okay, correct. Perfect. So I'm coming up on that 24-month mark, and I'm in finance. Just for some context, I'm in finance. I make a little over 120 right now. So the past 6 months, I've been going on interviews, just trying to like double up, hitting that 180 mark. But I've been finding out that it's been ultra competitive in the environment that I'm in. One, there's no representation. I'm Black. So there's not much representation in the field of finance that I'm in. So it's just ultra competitive. I'm going up against a lot of people that have a few more skin in the game, or maybe they have some people on the inside to pull them in. So I'm reaching out to just kind of get some feedback on as far as like how to, maneuver it so that I don't necessarily stay stuck, because now I'm finding myself in meetings and interviews for no more than maybe $5,000 more than what I make. And I just feel like I'm selling myself short. And I'm trying to continue that path of just, being progressive and being competitive and just leveling up and reaching that producer status. So just wanted your input on that.
Okay, well, first of all, getting skill sets is nice. Networking is more important, though. As you're getting your skill sets together, the first thing needs to do is, okay, how many connections have I made? Because there's where the money is going to come from. You got a skill set, now you got to connect with somebody else who can, you're groping. If you're going through ads or classifieds or whatever, you're basically going blind is what you're doing. What you really need is somebody who's already connected and can point you in the right direction. So you get the skill set so that you have a reason for even being there. But after you have the skill set, you start making networking so that folks instead of say, okay, here's the short path to getting where you're trying to go. These are the folks who are really paying. These are the folks who are really breaking off. These are the people who are really easy to deal with. That's what you do. So as you fellas are getting your skill sets together, that and the networking got to go hand in hand. It's got to go hand in hand. Otherwise, you don't have a bicycle, you got a unicycle.
I really appreciate that. And just one last question. In terms of just being Black in the finance and just trying to navigate that world, it just feels like I'm definitely, I get hit with a few walls. And maybe it's just in my mind, I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's not in your head. No, it really, really is there. I mean, like I say, look, there are obviously historical and social factors to deal with that. You live in a system of white supremacy. We understand this. You don't have, that's the real crime of it, is that it's like every generation is starting from zero. When you don't have institutions, when you don't have institutional knowledge to pass these things down, then every generation is essentially like people who just arrived here. You're starting from zero. Your folks been here for generations, but you're showing up because there's no one in that area already. It's like you're the first one there because you are. And yes, it makes it a lot more difficult, so that's what I mean by your networking skills. Your networking skills are politicking. So you're going to have to think like a politician. No black fisting, no berets on, no any of that. Your job is to be focused and to understand that you got to make a space in a lane for yourself. But you can't do that by looking for somebody else to do it for you. So yes, what you're going to have to do is go in, ear hustle all the damn time, treat everybody like they're out to get you. You must assume that every single person around you is potentially going to flip on you. So you never say something that can be used against you. You never speak against anybody else. Let me just try to like this. You would be very well advised to go watch the television show Game of Thrones. For you want to play it like Lord Littlefinger. You want to play it like him. He the only time he ever did something was when he had to. Otherwise, he tried to be friends with everybody, which is exactly what he told Sansa in the end. Everyone is your enemy. Everyone is your friend. Every possible series of events is happening all at once. Think that way, and nothing will ever surprise you. Everything will be something you've seen before. Do not treat anybody like, don't treat everybody like they are eventually going to flip on you. Don't speak bad of anyone. Don't give them any ammunition. You speak well of everybody. You speak well of them. You turn your Barack Obama on, because remember, that's your job. Those are not your friends. That is your job. They are not your friends or your family. You should not behave as
Yep.
such. Well, Jason, this feels phony. Call it whatever you will. There's a reason why we call it professional, because that is your profession. You don't get to act the way you do at your home. When you come into the profession that you are in, you behave according to the rules of the profession. A profession does not require friendship. It simply requires collaboration and cooperation. That doesn't require friendship.
I appreciate that input. Really do. Thank you for the advice, Jason. B1S.
This is The Biz. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Folks, there's on the idea that you need to like people or be friends with folk or whatever. That is a foolish notion. When you are dealing with an environment where money is involved, your job is to get as much as you can there. You don't do that by creating friction. The only time that you create friction is if you are in a position of power and you have the ability to remove somebody. He ain't in that position. Most of you won't be. So don't delude yourself or pretend that you are. Caller from area code 813, you're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good evening, Mr. Black. This is Rich out of Tampa.
All right, Rich out of Tampa, what's on your mind?
So, I appreciate your program and I listen to it a lot. And it could be a bit daunting just, taking on all that information and considering where I am in life. And I just wanted your perspective on my situation. I'm a 34-year-old sole parent of my son, who I've had since I was 23. And I could admit that I've been a bit scattered as far as my goals and ambitions, just because I remember you mentioned women having pets and children as a fallback, and I could understand that because I lean on my son. I don't lean on him, but I prioritize him over everything. And I think so. Long story short, I was into construction. I became a licensed barber, but then I got my CDL and I'm over the road. And now I'm considering freight brokerage. And I just want your insight. Am I jumping from thing to thing, or is it in the line of what you were saying about always having your eyes on the next goal?
Well, I mean, in this case here, you're expanding within the industry that you're already in. So you're expanding within trucking, so that certainly never hurts you. Now, there is a slowdown in the industry happening right now. I talked to a fellow here on Patreon about that as well. But right now, you are experiencing a slowdown in the industry, especially depending on where you are. There's some wackiness happening in California. New York has always been the boondoggle. Interest rates are whooping folks' asses. But to be totally honest with you, this is necessary. A lot of folk got into the industry who didn't belong there. And I'm not saying because they don't have a God-given right. I'm saying that they went in the wrong way. You had folks who were sitting up here buying lease trucks and things like that with the idea that they were going to become owner-operators, but they went in with incredibly bad terms, incredibly bad agendas, and the environment has shifted because it needs to. The federal chairman has raised interest rates. Nobody likes that, but because we don't have any legislation from Congress anymore, because the government doesn't do anything, instead of them having legislation to deal with our economic issues, instead it falls to the Federal Reserve Bank, and he only has one tool: raise interest rates or lower them. So instead of having a scalpel, which is what legislation would be, here you have Jerome Powell coming through the door with this great big huge Harley Quinn sledgehammer. And when he swings it, it's going to hurt everybody. Unfortunately, it's going to have to. Now, none of us have been thrilled with car prices for the last 3 years. The car manufacturers have been committing serial sexual assault for the last 3 years. And you don't have any way to do anything about it since the government's not doing regulation or legislation on them. So what you have is price inflation. So how do we cure that? Well, Jerome Powell comes in and raises interest rates. You're like, wait a minute, the prices are already too high. Yes, I'm going to raise them even more so that you all have to stop buying. And eventually the car manufacturers, when you all drop off in sales, they will be forced to lower the prices. And after they start lowering them, then we'll start easing off the interest rates. but we're trying to coerce their
Right.
behavior. Now, the good news is, yeah, that's what we need. But the bad news is this is going to hurt in the meantime. So if you're in the transportation business, the stock market, things like that, interest rates are doing a doozy. They really, really are, among other things.
Right.
So there's a shakeout in the industry. I said all that to say, over the long term, this is cyclical. Over the long term, you're going to return to normal. Right now, there's a bit of a tightening. You're going to have to be very judicious if you're going to get into it. I have a program on my Patreon where we talk to a freight broker. So if you're not a member of my Patreon, I did that program a couple of months ago. So I've actually done a program talking to them. I think it might be in your best interest to go ahead and check that out. I think that's going to answer all the questions that you have if you want to try to get in that kind of thing. But no, that's not. I wouldn't consider that jumping around, because what you're doing is expanding your repertoire within the industry you're in. Jumping around is when you say, well, Jason, I want to be a plumber, and I want to be a truck driver, and I want to be an airline pilot, and I want to be IT. Okay, that guy's jumping around. In your case, you're just just expanding your repertoire.
Right. And fortunately for me, I have a position where I do come home every week. While, in trucking, without experience, you can't get the next better job unless you have a connection. And so because of lack of connection, I just had to get the first job I can for experience. And I'm fortunate enough to come into town every week, check on my son, and barber to make some lunch money, basically, is what it is. And
I don't mind the barbering
totally
thing. I mean, look, the barbering thing doesn't bother me simply because, you have pretty much completed your learning arc with it. There's not going to be a whole lot more you can do as far as it doesn't require any more learning. So I'm just saying, for that extent, I mean, that's something you want to do on the side, if you have time. I don't necessarily have anything against it. I don't think it could be a mainstay, but I don't have anything against that, because I don't think it's going to require any more intensive time from you to commit to it. For everything else, that's a different matter.
Right.
I'm a firm believer, if you're going to be in an industry or whatever, you need to be in it as deep as you can be, as well as you can be. Make sure you've done your due diligence, but that would be what you want to do.
And what is it feasible to think to save up trucking money and potentially, now that I'm basically living in my truck and my son's with my mother, who I subsidize, is it feasible to try to buy a barbershop and possibly put barbers in it while I still stay in the trucking industry?
Now, like that's
my father
now
says
that's
to just leave trucking alone.
Now that's the kind of thing that's splitting your attention.
Okay.
Now that would be splitting.
Okay. Yeah, my father said
to do
stop.
something like that. Now you're requiring having to do an investment. You're gonna have to start taking monies from somewhere or get a loan or whatever. Now we're talking about running two separate industries. So what I'm going to do is tell you pick one. Now,
Okay.
I'm not going to necessarily say listen to your father. I think you need to go over the numbers. If you need help going over the numbers, get a CPA. That would be a good place to start there. Somebody who does that for a living. Why is your father telling you that you shouldn't be doing trucking?
His reasoning is the same as yours. He wants me to give my full attention to trucking, and he sees how divided I am between my son and my occupation, and he advises me to just, when you come into town, just go to the gym, look after your son, and rest, so you can focus back on your trucking thing. So that's
the problem with trucking is that sometimes it gives you guys a little bit too much downtime, and then if you're fidgety, you start looking for things to fill the time with. So in that respect, I do agree with your father here. You're splitting your attention, and he's saying my son needs to stop trying to entertain himself and occupy his hands and be focused. So your father is saying you're having a focusing issue. And as you get older, you want to become more focused, not less. So doing little knickknacks and side things to keep yourself occupied and entertained, that's not the best use of your time. It'd be a far better use of your time to say, okay, when I got downtime, how can I maximize my gains from my trucking? How can I do that?
Brokeraging, basically. Learn.
Well, I mean,
learn the brokers I figured I could make.
That's one avenue. That's one. That is one. There are others.
Sir.
There are others.
Yes,
like,
sir.
For example, just to give you an idea here, I travel all over this country here. So sometimes when I'm going out I-20, I go through Alabama. So Leeds, Alabama. They got that huge Bucky gas station out there. I want to say they're building a gigantic one in Colorado. They built a huge one in Tennessee or Kentucky. These are basically truck stops. These are truck stops.
Yes, sir.
And they are enormous. If you're a trucker, you've seen them. They're enormous. And of course, if you've seen, Loves or, Loves or I forget the other name of it, Flying J.
Flying J.
Yeah, Loves, Flying J. So what I'm saying is, okay, they're getting their equity out the game and they're building stations, man. So what I'm saying, I'm just saying to you here, when you talk about the trucking industry, I just think that a lot of folks here don't think about those things enough. By the way, on my Patreon, I've got a story and some videos that I posted last year. This family who came over here from, I forget where they came from, it was the Middle East or something. They just put their heads together and whatnot. They got $1 million together and they had some 18 wheelers, but then they said, we're going to open a truck stop. That's where the extra money going to be. Next thing you know, they started doing that. Now they're making millions. So that's why I'm saying, broker is one thing, owner operator is one thing, broker is one thing, but there's other avenues, man. There's other avenues. I want you all to consider everything.
Right. And one last question. It's pertaining to my occupation. I think the reason why brokering is appealing to me, and basically the question is, I imagine a single life and everything you said about being a single man out here. The reality is I'm not completely single because I have my son. And so brokering, what I want to ask is, I'm starting to realize I'm never going to be free of my son. He's always going to be a responsibility of mine. Same way my mother's helping me with my son, right? He's 14 now. I'm trying to get him into college, and hopefully we can get him into college for cheap. And it's not that college is the end all be all. It's just for his personal development. I just want him to go and just experience it because I saw what it did for my younger brother. He still has friends to this day that he met in university. And you'll tell me, confirm that it's just a responsibility I'll never be rid of.
No, that's called parenting. So just remember, for those of you who do have kids, remember that's your legacy right there. That's your final report card on you as a person. Okay. So you the only multitasking you'd have to do in that regard, and that's why your father is saying, hey, all this fidgeting around and whatnot, that's what leads to distraction. You can do the trucking, you can see about your son starting to try to fill the zone with other busy work to keep yourself occupied. That starts chipping into other more productive areas. Yes, sir, man. But you make that single life sound great. But it is what it is. It is great. I can't lie to you, though. Just make it sound great. No, it is great. However, by the same token, you pay the cost to be the boss. So you're at a different stage and you're dealing with something different here. So for you fellas who got that, just understand, you got to hold that because that's your legacy you're talking about here. And just like you were your parents' child, just remember this is your responsibility here now. You can't have everything you want. Okay. You are either going to be a productive parent or you're going to be a free bird, but you can't do both.
Yeah, and I refuse to not be an effective parent. And yes, thank you, Mr. Black. And I'll stay tuning in, and I'll go check out your Patreon. I have to go see what that freight broker's talking about.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Like I say, I created this because I wanted to have a repository of information, reliable information that I wished had been available when I was you all's age and when I was working on these things. So shout out to my man B1 Media is a lifesaver here. Thank you very much for supporting tonight's program, brother. I appreciate it as always. Let me get caller from area code 618. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, how you doing? Can you hear me well? My name's Bo. I'm from St. Louis, East St. Louis.
Okay, if you're on speakerphone or earphones, you're going to want to take those off.
All right, I apologize. I had it on the earphones. Can you hear me better now?
Okay, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Well, I'm Bo, and I'm calling from East St. Louis, Illinois. Honestly, I'm gonna make this quick because I really need your advice. uh, I'm 34 years old. I'm feeling like I'm getting at the age now where I need to start building a legacy as far as in children and a good relationship. It's embarrassing letting this out, but I was dealing with two white women who I was just having a sexual encounter with, and I kind of didn't quit, but I'm also trying to be with a black woman who I've been talking to, but it's just like she has so much baggage when it comes to her past relationships, her mother in and out of her ear. Now she doesn't know about the sexual relationships I'm having with these other women. We're just talking. And I really look at her as a woman I could sit down and have children with, but it's just, how can I say this? Her expectations are too high. I'm now at the point right now, I had just bought a piece of a condominium in downtown St. Louis that I don't have to pay for. You know what I'm saying? All I got to do is pay the taxes, but I don't want to stop the lifestyle that I got going right now. There's nothing serious with the two women that I was dealing with, but I want this woman.
Okay, well, let's take a look at a couple of things here, first of all. How old is this woman?
Hold on, I apologize. My phone was breaking up. Could you repeat that?
Okay. How old is this woman?
She's 28.
Okay. How old are you?
I'm 34.
Okay. Does she have any children?
No children.
Okay, that was a yes or no.
But I kind of believe
yes.
she maybe had some abortion.
Well, okay. I was about to get to that, but you don't think she's had any children, but you certainly think she may have been pregnant. These things matter because what that means is that she's had an episode of severe drama in her life. Whatever was going on with that dude, there was a lot of severe drama. And a female who is used to drama has absolutely no reservations about bringing it to you. It'll just be your turn to go through the drama with her. Fellas tend to do themselves a disservice by not investigating the fella who was there before to see what he had to deal with. So if you got a chick who's carrying abortions, just be aware that's a major red flag of relationship drama, and her solution was to kill the kid. Now, that was her solution. That was how great the relationship she was in with him. That was how navigable and manageable it was for her. Kill the kid. Now, if that did occur, just understand one thing. She has absolutely no reservations about killing yours. Now, if she has done that, just remember, she'll have no reservations about killing yours and never saying a word to you about it. So
and the thing is, she's kind of pushing towards I don't want to leave my spot. I'm not trying to move in with any female.
Okay, brother, you got a lot of static going on your line here, so I'm not sure if you tried to change up from where you were or whatever, but we got to get that sorted out there. What you were saying when you got on the phone is that this woman's got, quote, a lot of baggage. Why would you consider wife material of someone that you come in the door admitting she's got a lot of baggage? How does a lot of baggage qualify as wife material?
Well, let me explain the baggage. School debt. I feel like she talks about her past, basically the disruption in her family. Her and her mother have a hate-love relationship, but it seems like she listens to everything her mother says when it comes to me. I told her, I said, well, we don't even know each other that well for you to speak on be with your mother, especially personal, not really personal things, but things
but you should be aware of these things. So far, brother, you're just naming off one major red flag after another. So he tried to just diminish it. These are not minor red flags. These are majors. How much does she owe in student loans, sir?
Oh, wow. I believe she told me about she's paying off like 60,000.
Okay,
But when
what
I
was
heard,
okay, sir, and
when
what was
I
her
heard
major?
because it could be a lot.
Okay, sir, what was her major?
She went for mass communication.
Okay. I don't know what Obama phone you're on, but if we can't get that sorted out, I'm going to have to move on. So whatever you're doing to jump around, if you're on earphones, Bluetooth or something, you're going to need to take that off.
Oh, well, I just got away from this heater. Is it better? If it's not better, you can just hang up, man. I don't want to.
If she's got $60,000 in student loan debt for communications, that's a useless degree. Now, I'm not going to blame her necessarily for going for the degree. Most of these kids out here are getting useless degrees. What I am saying, though, is that you're describing a female who's got some emotional issues and certainly some family issues going on here. And that's what I'm saying. You're acknowledging what these things are already. And what I'm saying is, do you understand that none of these are going to go away? If you do try to pursue a relationship with her, you can't say that you didn't know what you were getting into because you took her for what she was. You saw what she was when she came in the door. You're telling me what these issues are. And then you're saying, Jason, I think I can make a wife out of this. And what I'm saying what I'm saying is, do you understand that all these negatives you just pointed out about her, none of them are going to go away. This is what you'll be dealing with. And if you get in a relationship with her, it'll be times 10. Do you understand that?
I mean, yes, sir. And most women in St. Louis.
And are you still okay? But sir, there's women all over the world. So what you just said is the height of silliness. She's not the only one. Now, what I suspect is that she's the only one you can get. Now, I suspect that you're speaking from your options, which is why you're sitting up here wasting all this time on this individual who's carrying these deficiencies. This isn't a reflection on her. This is a reflection on you and your lack of options. What do you do for a living?
I work for a company called Kinder Morgan. It's an above ground coal mine. I basically am a heavy machine operator.
Okay.
Like 375 Komatsu dozers.
Okay.
Usually forklift, but
heavy equipment operator. That's nice. How long you been doing that?
Since 2013.
Since when?
2013.
Okay, so about 10 years. Do you have any children?
No children.
Have you ever been married?
No.
Okay, and how much are they paying you an hour now?
I'm about at 25.
Okay. Well, certainly not minimum wage, but by the same token there, taking that into account, he wants to dabble around with females. Now he's like, well, I'm thinking about getting serious. Okay, but obviously he doesn't have enough resources or enough, he doesn't have enough assets here to be taken seriously in that regard because he's literally sitting here talking about, well, this wasn't available in St. Louis. I'm like, dude, are you serious? There are 48 other states. There are 49 other states and 6 or 7 territories. And he's sitting up here talking like that's the only place in the world he can be. And what I'm saying is, I think this is more of a reflection of the man. If the man is undisciplined, if the man is unfocused, if the man doesn't clearly express that he knows what he wants, then team will reflect leadership or lack thereof. Now, what does your mom think of this woman?
Sir, I never met my biological mother. I had a stepmother, but our relationship ended when my father passed away. I wouldn't want to get too much into it because it's been a bad relationship.
We already got our answer here.
It's just a long story. I'm sorry.
We already have our answer. But in this situation here, like I say, you don't even have somebody that you have evaluating this person. But my problem is she doesn't require evaluation. You have already conceded about red flags. So what I will tell you is you can continue this to pursue her if you want to, but the chances of this turning out well are obviously practically none. And this will be a huge boondoggle which will derail you. This is what happens with men who play with women as opposed to men who invest in women. Because when a woman has to be an investment and she has to be led, you take investments very seriously. And what I'm saying is he's taking that piece of a building he's got some sort of interest in. He's taking that more seriously than the women. The women around him who could accuse him of a crime or take his money or take his life. He's treating that inanimate object with more seriousness and more due diligence than the human beings that he has around him. Think about that. But I don't feel like most of them.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sir, before you repeat the same silly sentence you've already said 2 or 3 times, the question is, do you qualify for something better?
Yeah, I believe I do, but it's like I told you.
You say you believe you qualify for something better, and yet you are sitting here regaling me about this one individual as opposed to getting something better that doesn't have all this baggage, that is so obviously disruptive for her and can only be disruptive for you.
Well, yeah, she was basically a point of view. I told you that I was in a sexual relation with 2 other women.
Yes, sir, and that's what you're accumulating. You're accumulating females that you have sexual relations with, not females who are actually suitable, competent companion material. That's not what you're attracting. You're just attracting bed buddies. And that's the criterion they have to meet and satisfy first and foremost. Is they down for sex and they're available? Well, yes, that's not hard to find. A female who is going to actually add and benefit to everything outside of sex. Oh, that's a little more difficult to get. And right now, you've demonstrated that you can't actually acquire that.
You're right. Well, yeah, you are right.
Okay,
when you break it down, yeah.
Okay, then I don't need anything else broken down. Stop focusing on her. You've got work to do on yourself. This conflict, this racial conflict that you're having about these 2 white women, first of all, you chose them. So if you're having a conflict about it, why in the world are we choosing them? Well, they're available for sex. And what I'm saying is, yeah, I can see how you're living your life. This type of low altitude thinking, this just becomes a vicious cycle, and only a certain type of female is going to be agreeable to entering into that. And I'm pretty sure the white women aren't very different from her either. So I'm just saying, no matter where you're going, you're just attracting a different flavor of the same ice cream. You have to change, because right now, this is what you qualify for. Let's get ourselves a little bit more together. Let's get our income up to $35 or $40 an hour. And you'll start seeing things differently. Because right now you're being given a base pay here that you really should be making. After 10 years, you should really be getting more than that. So once again,
the company actually
he's getting just enough to be able to keep chasing females and keep laying up. What he's not doing is progressing himself. Remember what I told everybody? Every 24 to 36 months, we should be evaluating that income. Your income is stagnated, but his desire for sex hasn't. Then that's where you need to start, sir. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. This is the trap that most males fall into. I should know. I fell into it myself. I'm not telling you something that somebody else told me. I fell into that myself in my early 20s. You all know the stories. Once I had stabilized sexual access and leisure time, that was it. Double income. What the hell are you talking about? Don't you see this size 12 ass over here? I'm good. No, you better elevate what you're thinking. And also with her giving off all these alarm bells of emotional issues and relationship issues and whatever in the hell went down with the previous fellas and whatnot. And she's only 28. She's only 28 years old and already got this many red flags going off. Fellas, come on now. There's really no purpose or reason to sit up here and cause this many disruptions in your own life. This is how hard up for sex y'all are? That you will see an obvious disciplinary problem, an obvious problem child. And, well, I mean, she ready to lay up. Okay. The problem isn't that the women are not good enough. Dude, you're the common denominator. You got to fix that. Caller from area code 984. You're on live with the business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
With me, I'm calling for
Okay.
Rolla, Missouri.
Take your phone off a speaker or Bluetooth or whatever it's on there.
I'm a trucker, so I'm kind of using my Bluetooth. Hold on.
Please don't flip over.
Hello? Is that better?
Yes, sir. What is your name? Where are you calling from?
Calling for Rolla, Missouri, but I'm from Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay. What's your name?
My name is Lee.
All right, Lee, what's on your mind?
What advice do you have for a young man that's in his mid-30s that want to be married? I know you feel some type of way about it, but is that any benefit from being married?
Well, sure. I mean, there are some benefits, I suppose, that come from being married, but there is no benefit that you get from marriage as practiced in America or administered by the state today that is worth going into it without putting yourself in an advantageous position. The way they have the laws stacked now, they are still obligating men to behave as if it's 1850, but they're allowing the women to freestyle all crazy and giving the men responsibility for subsidizing it. And that's just not smart to put yourself behind the eight ball of that. That's not smart. So what I'm saying is that with anything that you deal with, you should deal with it from a position of strength and an advantage. My position on marriage today is that men should not even consider doing it until they're making six figures or more and until they're in their late 30s or 40s, at least. Because the way you see women at 37 is going to be radically different than the way you saw them at 27. The way you see women at 42 will be worlds different from the way you saw them at 22. Some of the things that men have to warn you about and beat you over the head with about now and try to shake you and convince you, you'll be like, oh, I've seen them do some dirty skullduggerous behavior. Nobody will have to convince you that they're capable of the worst because you'll have had enough women, enough experience without being married to them to see, oh, she really will do this. They really will try to burn your life down. She really will try to train wreck it. If you're going to move on and not take her, she really will try to take you out. No, seriously, she'll really try to do it. When you realize that, oh, that's not just hypothetical, you've lived it. Now you're like, oh, I'm taking this to heart. This can really happen. Your perspective on those things will change. But furthermore, unlike the previous caller, you will not be a man who's so desperate for sex that you ignore warning signs. Where men get in the most trouble is they're so busy trying to solve their sexual access problem that they ignore warning signs. So everything's balanced against, okay, well, how much is the sex going to cost me? As opposed to saying, you know what, I can get it anywhere. When you build your value in yourself, that's the position you come at it from. Most men don't. So everything becomes this bartering process to, okay, how much garbage I got to put up with? How much risk do I have to absorb to get some sex from this chick? And that's where the problems come in. And the problem is that what she's risking is far less than what you risk. Especially if you're talking about marriage. The other thing is you shouldn't be talking about marrying a chick if it hasn't been at least 3 years, you shouldn't be talking about that either. Well, why? Because a person can be fake for 6 days or 6 weeks or 6 months. They can't be fake for 2 or 3 years. They won't be able to stay fake for that long, especially if you're putting them through their paces and testing them. she's not going to be able to sit there and be phony for no 3 damn years. She's like, oh, hell no, this is too hard. It's too long. This is too much work. The real thing's going to pop itself out. If you sit there and make her work long enough, she's going to show you whether this is really who she really is or whether she was faking. Now you can make different decisions. So I'm firmly convinced if fellas adhere to these rules here, it'll save you a lot of trouble. Wait until you're older. Wait until your money is at a point where you got something to lose financially, and you built yourself financially, so you respect what you've done financially, you appreciate what you've done financially, and you ain't up for nobody making you go backwards. And you give her a long enough runway so you can make sure that you're not sitting up here dealing with a chameleon or some poser.
Yes, sir.
I'll let you have the last word.
Well, I live in my truck too, so I'm saving up my money also. So, and I don't have any children myself, so I'm just speaking from a spiritual standpoint that I believe in the covenant. I really don't think women believe in the covenant more than anything. They just want the money and the status of marriage, like you said. So I definitely take your advice.
Well, because there have been a never-ending parade of simps out there who have made it easy for them. See, here's the problem. You can't sit up here and show females, forget telling them. You can't sit up here and show females that when they're in their 20s, they can be the biggest slut they want to be, get completely run through, run by, run over. And then when they get finished getting run through by the world and having their sexual adventures, then there's going to be some beta ass simp later who's going to overlook all this baggage and trash that she's brought and treat her as if nothing happened. So what I'm saying is that's the reality of being females today. See, they're willing to drop their standards if it's necessary to get a bailout. They're willing to drop that. And so they want to see who's going to do that. Now, it doesn't turn a hoe into a housewife. And generally speaking, these relationships, that's why more than half your marriages are ending in divorce, because ultimately she doesn't change. But what I'm saying is that there's guys out, the female's experience has been, well, there's a beta who will take me for a little while. He'll take me for a while until eventually that falls apart. So that's the reason why they're doing that. If more fellas start making it clear they don't go for that, then that dynamic changes. And actually, I think we're in the middle of that change right now.
I hope so, cause a lot of them don't feel like they need to do the work, man. A lot of females need to do, besides body work, the obesity and stuff like, oh man, that's a truck that rolled over. They don't want to do the mental work. Women have a lot of mental work they need to be working on. They don't know how to have a conversation. They jacked up, man. But
well, I hear that. I hear that a lot too. But I once again, I have to say, team reflects leadership. So, fellas, keep that in mind. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Team reflects leadership. If you have a bunch of females here who have not, made the cut and made the grade as far as that's concerned, you might want to think about that a little bit differently. All right, we got an iPhone user here. What's your name, brother?
My name is Zeb. How you doing, brother? Greetings.
Okay, what's your name again?
Zeb, like zebra, Z as in zebra. Zeb.
All right, Zeb, what's on your mind?
My plight's very convoluted. I need some of your sageism, some of your, wisdom as it pertains to I'm 32, going through a divorce, and yeah, brother. So I just, wanted to get some advice from you.
Okay, how did you end up going through a divorce at 32?
Being very hastily, haphazard as it pertains to not doing a full vetting process, but I take full responsibility as far as, with what transpired. And, we've been separated for about 2 to 3 years now. So the divorce is not quite yet formalized because I have some, I'm what you call a hapless victim of anti-blackness. But with that, I have the mental wherewithal on how to be able to recoup off that. So
Okay.
meaning I have
Sir,
civil.
if we are being separated for 3 years, that's more than enough time to finish the divorce, sir. Why have you not simply finalized it?
Once again, brother, I don't want to sound like a tape recorder, but the reason why I haven't formalized it is because of I have a civil dispute going on, and basically my lawyer didn't want me.
Okay, sir, we got a lot of talking going on here. A civil dispute with whom?
With a establishment that imposed or that conducted themselves in an anti-black way, which meaning so I was aggrieved based off of their negligence. So
okay, sir, I don't know, sir. You're talking in weird circles here, and you're not being very specific. An establishment. What is an establishment that's stopping you from finalizing your divorce?
Once again, brother, the civil dispute that I have is basically she's tied into it. She's tied into it. So she's tied into it based off of the legalese term called loss of consortium. Loss of consortium. You ever heard of that term?
Yes, sir. That's why you have a lawyer, sir. And it doesn't take 3 years to sort that out either. It doesn't take 3 years to sort that out. How many children do you two have?
We lost our child during COVID.
I'm sorry to hear that. And what do you do for a living, sir?
I do a lot of things, honestly. Like I fix cars.
There you go.
I know, legally.
That's what I thought. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Jason, let me say this. I got out of the federal penitentiary, lost my mother due to a hospital's negligence.
There it is.
Yeah.
It is.
What's wrong with it?
There it is. All right. I thought it was something like that. Go ahead.
So I lost my mother when I got out the Fed, and me being me, critical thinker, an avid reader, do research, and I find out that the hospital was negligent. Got a lawyer. So I've been established since post being released. So money's never been an issue. Finances have never been an issue. I'm invested. I got stocks. I'm very well diversified for a 32-year-old separated young black man, no kids, autodidact. Like I said, I fix cars, I do brakes, I do like just a plethora of legal endeavors. Like pardon me.
Okay. Sir, your wife is still alive.
Yes.
Okay. So he's talking about loss of consortium, and yet she's still alive.
No, brother, I was aggrieved. Remember, I was telling you that due to me being aggrieved, due to me being thrown out of an establishment and being concussed, having 911 card on me, basically, she's able to coop off the loss of off of that legalese term, loss of consortium, off of my agreement. And my lawyer's like, don't do the divorce until we get this situated. And then, that's what he's basically advising me.
Okay, sir, how long ago did this injury occur?
This injury occurred 2019. The white folks just deposed me for 14 hours. Crackers deposed me for 14 hours. Lawyers said I'd never seen them deposed. I'm black. I'm a black man who has a history of suing too. Of course they're gonna probe me and look into me and ask me 1,000, queries. But
okay.
yeah, brother.
Sir, so why is your wife divorcing you?
Honestly, brother, she just didn't fit my format. I'm plant-based. My mentality is different. I move different, and she just wasn't ready to conform to my format of how I do things.
Okay. Well, in that case there, certainly I can understand why that would occur. In your case here, this claim is going on way too long. That's the first thing. So I'm not really sure what's actually going on there, though I suspect I already do know what's going on there. The bottom line here is, like I say, you're going to have to, if you want to go ahead and get that resolved, you can, but It doesn't require all that. It really, really doesn't. You don't even have any kids. You have a house, or have you have? Okay, so they don't even have community property to split like that.
She's not entitled to none of.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so there, yeah, and yet he's telling us there's this big go round going around about it. So, like I say, I mean, I'm not surprised to hear the background here, but the bottom line is, no, sir, this is going on cartoonishly long, and I suspect I know why that's happening there. Although I think it's fairly obvious to everyone why it's happening. So until you get that resolved, yes, your lawyer is correct. Until you and your lawyer get that resolved, yes, this will be an issue for you here. The good news is you can resolve it whenever you want to. The bad news is I don't think you're very agreeable to resolving it quickly. So yeah, you're going to be with this for a while.
The good thing, like you said, is us disconnecting is going to be a very seamless process because there's no kids, so it's going to be a very seamless process,
Well, yeah, ordinarily it would be, but that's not what's happening in your case. So until you get that resolved, yes, that's going to be a difficulty there. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight here. Yeah, he's not fit to be married and clearly not competent to get divorced. So, all right. Call from America code 772. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
All right, this is Vic from Port St. Lucie.
Vic from Port St. Lucie, what's on your mind?
Yes, quick question. Wanted to ask thoughts. Two questions. Goes to job fair this week, and then also next week there's somebody coming into town that's going to be talking about purchasing multifamily homes. So I just wanted to know your thoughts on that, as well as how to prepare for the job fair. I was told to just do my homework on each.
Okay,
yes.
Vic?
Yes, sir.
How are the kids?
Man. Good question, man. The daughter today I had some issues today with her. She made some threats towards herself today.
Okay,
and
so we certainly need to keep an eye on that for certain. Vic?
Yes.
How much money?
You're right for asking.
How much money in savings do we have in the bank, Vic?
It's drying up, brother. It's drying up, man.
That's not a number.
I don't have. I probably have about 300s, but I have like a lot of credit card debts.
You're talking about buying
couple
multi-family or multi-unit dwellings, and you have $300 in the bank to your name.
Yeah, the people say that it's
lie.
According to the commercial, the guy is saying that it's easy to purchase one.
Vic, I've talked to you for quite some time. For those of you who don't know, this is Vic down there, and he was trying to get back with his woman until he decided he didn't want to. I'm trying to make sure of a couple of other things here. By the way, please tell me that you weren't trying to go in the military.
Yeah, but things aren't working out with it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, everyone. He called me up during Patron. I'm not putting him on the spot. He called me up during Patron after all that advice I gave him. He wants to stop doing HVAC, and he's just comes out of left field and tells me, well, Jason, I want to go join the Marines or the Air Force or something.
Or Army. Yeah.
Now he's calling me back a few weeks later to tell me, yeah, that ain't worked out. And what I'm saying is it's not these other things.
So far.
Okay, it is not these other things that have not worked out, Vic. It's you that ain't working out. And until you button down on you, nothing's going to change. You're hopping from one thing to another. These are irrational. They are impractical. Brother, you haven't demonstrated excellence, but worse, you haven't demonstrated commitment and consistency at anything. So you're talking about real estate, dude. You haven't demonstrated consistency at a job.
Yes, sir.
He's already leaping forward to be a real estate mogul. I'm like, dude, you haven't demonstrated consistency at a paycheck. Why don't we do that one first, brother? Why don't we demonstrate some consistency there and get some wins? I'll say the same thing to you all the time, dude. The issue that your wife had with you, that the other folk, brother, you're wildly, incredibly, fantastically inconsistent. He doesn't stick with anything. He floats. He wanders. This makes you unreliable, not just to your woman, but to the children and everybody else. You gotta start focusing and just sit in one place and demonstrate that you can perform a basic repetitive task consistently every day so people can start feeling that they can rely on you. But more importantly, so you can start feeling you can rely on yourself. So no, forget the real estate thing. That's impractical. You can't do it no way. $300 in the bank. This is an insult to our intelligence and spending the time on the phone with me here. There's a job fair coming. Yes, you need to be at it, and your heart and soul needs to be dedicated to showing up for work every day.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. I spent the longest time talking to him. It's just, he had the HVAC thing. I was telling him what to do about that. And he just calls me out the blue and says, well, they messing with me at the job. So I'm going to the Army. So y'all remember, for those of you who are on Patreon, when he called up and said that, you could count how long I stayed with him on the phone after he said that. You could sit there and count how long I stayed. As soon as he said that right there, I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm done. I can't be your consistency. You gotta be your own. Caller from area code 985. You're on live with the business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, it's Kevin calling from Hammond. How you doing, brother?
Okay, Kevin calling from where?
Hammond, Louisiana.
Okay, Kevin from Hammond. What's on your mind?
Oh, nothing much, man. I just hope these young brothers just picking up these jewels that you're dropping, man. I mean, man, when we was coming up, they didn't have these kind of resources, you know what I'm saying? If you didn't have a pops, an older person that you could talk to, you know what I'm saying? You just stuck out there in the wind, you know what I'm saying? So my kudos to you, man. And we need to have a black holiday for your birthday and start bigging you up, because I just feel like you're doing so much for the community, and you helping out so much, and I want to give you your flowers, you know what I'm saying? Because you're doing a real good work for the people, bro. That's all I want to say.
Well, thank you very much, brother. I appreciate that. And, pay it forward. Pay it forward. Thank you very much for this call. Let me get caller from code 208. You're on live with the business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yes, sir. My name is Ruben. I'm calling from Mars Point, Mississippi.
All right, Ruben, what's on your mind?
Yes, sir. I'm currently in school, basically vocational school for pipe welding. And I was calling to ask, on your Patreon, do you have any resources for pipe welding? I don't have too many people in my family that do it. I have one or two cousins that pipeline. They have their own rig truck. But since I've been in school, they basically stopped talking to me. I guess they kind of like this but they stopped talking to me because they see that I'm trying to get in the field or whatever. But I don't have any other resources besides like the Iron Workers Union close to my house. Once I finish school, I'm going to try to go there, but I don't know if I could do it without any experience besides school.
Okay, well, definitely getting into the trades is a good thing to be able to do. Welding has always been good. You sound like the kind of fellow here that would be just right up your alley, which is good. I do have the skill trade workshop, so I do have that. It's been so long since I've done it. I want to say there's one here on YouTube and another one over on Patreon is what I want to say. I want to say I have two of them. So definitely you can go ahead and check those out, although it'll be some good resources in that regard to give you a very good overview of what you're looking at in that regard. Now, you say that you've been to trade school already.
I'm currently in trade school.
Okay, so
I've been doing it for about a month now.
Okay, but you haven't gotten out yet, so you say you're still in school for it. Now, I don't want to get too far off in the woods, but I just want to find out here, are we working with MIG, acetylene? What are we working with?
Right now, I'm currently on stick. Next will be MIG, and eventually TIG is what I'm trying to end up doing, which is pipe welding.
Yes, because I like what I'm hearing so far. So these are the things that you will need. So yeah, I mean, so far I like the curriculum for it. So I don't have any problem with what I just heard there. I don't have any problem with that. So they're basically giving him the 3 that he needs. Those are the 3 that he will need. So just he'll be, once you have the skill set, you'll be able to make money anywhere. After that, like I say, it'll be up to you how you want to handle that. As always, experience matters. But if you've been to school and stuff like that, that's knowing how to turn the gear on and not blow yourself up and burn somebody else or blind yourself, just basics. That matters. Dealing with the unions is always going to be an issue because, of course, the unions were created specifically for the purposes of keeping us out, especially in the Deep South. But the other thing is, I mean, the skill set is really going to be undeniable. If you are a competent welder, there's no way to keep you out, dude. There's just no way.
Yes, sir.
There's too much building. Jump out for pipe trades and stuff. I mean, we're not even going to get into offshore. I mean, you and I are both from Louisiana and Mississippi. We're not even going to get into offshore. So there's no way to keep you out if you're a competent welder. There just isn't. There's too much need. It takes too long to teach somebody, and it's too hard to do it. And there are just far too few of them right now. Just far too few. You can't even really get the illegals to do that. Nobody wants to give that to them for insurance purposes. You can't just get somebody from Home Depot and give them a MIG welder. This is a formula for disaster. So never mind the regulations, by the way. Insurance and everything else, that's a zone that you can't even really get the illegals to take the slack off anybody for. So that's what I'm saying, dude. As long as you're competent, there's not really going to be a way to keep you out. There's just not.
Yes, sir. And to be honest, the instructor I got, he's a white guy or whatever. Like I said, I've been doing it for a month now. Well, barely a month. But I'm laying dimes with the stick machine, like basically like I've been doing it since I touched the machine. It's like a gift, and I actually love it, to be real. But hopefully soon, I'm trying to eventually start working in Louisiana because I have a lot of gas plants there. Try to do turnarounds like during turnaround season, get a few jobs on the road, and eventually save up for my own rig truck.
There you go. Like I say, I mean, it's like I said, I'm from that country. I almost did that kind of work, and then I almost done most everything. But I mean, like I say, there's just no way to keep you out. They would love to if they could, but the demand is just too high, man. Welding is one of those niche things. For those of you who don't know how welding works, welding is actually a niche thing, and it's not something that can be substituted. You can substitute wood for steel. You can't substitute welding, and you need a competent welder. Once you weld something together, whether it's a building, aluminum, pipes, you need somebody who knows what they're doing, because once you do this, you can't go back. So it's not like, making artwork where you can just erase something. Welding is like sculpting. So even if they want to keep you out, dude, there's just too much demand. There's too many openings. And if you are competent, that's the real thing, is making sure you're competent. The real thing is for you to go through the hell while you're in class to make sure that you know this upside down, backwards. I would say with your eyes closed, but as a welder, you got the shades on. If you are competent, there ain't no way to keep you out. There's none. There's no way. They don't have the option of doing so. There's just too much work that needs to be done. There's too many projects. There's just too much demand, especially if you know how to do MIG and TIG. There's too much demand for that, just far too much. So you're telling me you're in school. Well, that's the only thing that's holding you up right now, although I wouldn't see it as holding you up. you want to make sure that when you come out, you are completely competent. You don't have a bunch of sloppy work. You don't have a bunch of holes. You don't have a bunch of peeling. You want to make sure that when you come out, you're ready. Now, that's the only thing that would stop you or give them an excuse to sit up here and throw obstacles in your way, is if you're not competent. But if you are coming out and you're competent and you do good work and smooth work, dude, there's no way to stop you. There just isn't. You don't really need the union. The other thing is, you won't really need a union, to be totally honest. You don't really need that. Hell, there's signs all up and down Interstate 20 coming through Mississippi.
Yes, sir. The class I'm in is mostly white guys and Hispanics in the class. So
now, why you think that is?
I try to do work 10 times hard as them, though. I said so. My first week, at first they had me on horizontal, but I moved through pretty quickly because I'm trying to soak up all the game that I could soak up, and I stay in an extra hour just to make sure that I know what I'm doing. So right now they got me on my T plates or whatever, doing the overhead, and I'm moving through pretty quickly. And I'm just soaking up as much game as I can. But I'm pretty good
word is out
right now.
The word is out. That's what I'm saying. When you tell me you're in those classes, you said there's the white dudes and the Hispanics dudes. And I'm just telling you right now, I mean, the white fellas, we're not going to have a technology sector down here like that. But then again, that's never what we've done. It's industrial. So for them, I mean, we're talking, this is a profession where you don't need a high school diploma. You don't need an advanced degree. And within less than a year, you could have a skill set that pays you $70,000, $80,000. And from there, it only goes up when you start getting into more complex things. So, like I say, I mean, the sky is the limit. And then when you tell me the Latinos are up in there, I know they're in there. I've seen them. And this is the other thing y'all need to be aware of. These are, in a lot of cases, these are not first generation, they're second or third. But if the money ain't come right or whatever, their families are telling them, yeah, you get out them fields picking the beans. You need to be over here in these classes picking up a skill set, and you'll have an army of them walking out there. And I said this over a decade ago. I said, you're really witnessing your last generation of them, out there in the fields picking the beans. You're really witnessing the last generation of that. Now, they're bringing in letting a bunch of immigrants, illegal aliens come across the border and stuff to replenish those numbers. But what I'm saying is that I've been talking about this now for 15, 20 years. What that means is that the kids who were the children of these illegals 15 years ago, brother, those are the ones in that class with you. We're 15 years later. If they were 10 years old then, they're 25 now. Yeah, they're in that class with you now. That's the competition. I didn't say it's right. I didn't say it's legit, but that's what it's going to be. Because as you know, pipelines or anything else, if they need welding done, they're really very unconcerned about who does it. They're more concerned about, is it done right and is it done now? They don't care who does it.
Yes, sir. After I left class today, I seen they have a lot of staffing companies right here for like over the road. I went up in there just to check the scenery out. I had filled out an application for a pipeline job. Well, it's a gas plant job. They're paying $43 an hour, $150 a day per diem, 60 hours a week. I go up in there. The receptionist is Hispanic, and it's probably about 10 Hispanics up in there. And they got most of the staffing agencies there in a ducked out spot. Within the past 2 weeks, I went into like 4 of them. Hispanics are in there in every seat, speaking Spanish, helping each other with the application. Most of them don't even have experience yet, and it's hard to even become a helper on these type of jobs because they're paying $3,000 to $4,000 a week. So they're getting their people in through the door with no experience, learn on the job, while I have to go through all these obstacles. It was even hard for me to get into class. But, yeah, I just take it with a grain of salt.
Well, like I say, just stay consistent at it. What will help you is being competent. Being excellent is how you make money. That's how you do that. So stay competent at it. How much longer do you have until you're done?
it's basically according to how fast I learn, but the class is a 15-week class. But I plan on being done before that because I see that I'm coming through pretty quickly and I'm picking up on it pretty quick. Like I said, I'm pretty much a natural at it.
Okay, well, I wouldn't rush through it necessarily. The more time you have in the classroom to use their equipment and practice and hone your skills, trust me, you fight hard, you train hard, you fight easy. So I wouldn't necessarily stretch to that, but I mean, it's like 4 months is how long, 4 or 5 months is how long you're going to be in there. So about 4 months if it's 15 weeks. So I want you to give me a call back when you're done with that. I want to get
Yes, sir. I tune in as much as I can, so I will sure give you a call.
All right. I want you to give me an update on that when you get done with that. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Like I say, I mean, look, folks, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is, fellas. It is what it is right now. You can't make it filling out applications and whatnot. That's not going to be your job security. Security is going to be having a skill set that it don't matter how much they don't like you. You are just too good and too competent at what you do. Anywhere you go, they're going to be desperate for it. Welding is one of those things. Welding cannot be duplicated. You can't, I mean, in an automotive plant, they have some machines that do some welding. Yeah, but that's more of a contrived thing. You're talking about pipes and oil rigs and high-rise buildings and stuff like that. It's you need somebody who knows what they're doing. Caller from area code 713. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yes, it's Tony, Houston.
All right, Tony from Houston. What's on your mind?
I haven't talked to you in a while, Jason. I saw the headline, so I thought I'd call in. I didn't listen to the entire program. I came in on the guy with the bad divorce, and then the other guy behind him with the prison babble. But this young man who just got off the phone here, he's heading in the right direction. Listen, black men, you're right. They have to stay focused. What you just said before I came on is it. Filling out applications and those things, that's not going to do it anymore. That's what I did in 1979, 1980. Because that's all we had was newspapers and want ads. That's gone, the day of the buffalo. Black men are making it. They're doing well. If they stay focused, stop chasing these women. Stop trying to spend your money and all your resources on these women and trying to make them into whatever you think they ought to be, because it's not going to work. You need to stay focused, keep your nose in a book somewhere, keep yourself going in the straight and narrow. When you meet somebody or run into somebody that says, hey, man, I know we can make such and such quick, you say, hey, have a good day, man. I see you. I gotta go somewhere else.
You got to stop with the material therapy, the sexual therapy, the entertainment therapy.
Yes.
We're supposed to be with the condition that we are in, the position we're in, we're supposed to be the most serious, focused group of men on the planet. Our situation is too dire.
Tell me about it.
We don't get second chances like everybody else. We don't get that. We have to. If we get knocked down, that may be the last chance you ever get. We don't have the option of being,
that's right,
foolhardy.
Exactly. I'll be 68 February 5th. I paid my dues. I made my bones. I live extremely well, and I do very, very well. I do what I like, and I can tell anybody anything. I can tell them to go to hell to their face, and I don't have to worry about anything. Appreciate it, Jason. Keep up the good work, brother.
Thank you for giving this call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 857. You're on live with The Business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, Mr. Black. I'm Jerome from Framingham, Mass.
All right, Jerome, what's on your mind?
Sir. So a quick little background on myself. I'm 39 years old. I got great savings, but I think I've gotten a little too comfortable, and now I'm concerned about falling behind. So I'm currently working as a digital marketer within the commercial real estate. I'm interested in leveling. I'm interested in leveling up to increase my income and opportunities. As you mentioned before, like every 12 to 36 months, you should be evaluating yourself. I agree with that. And we come to find out that the math ain't mathing on my end at the moment. So my question is to you: is how do I know if it's worth it to go all in on the current career that I have and step it up versus changing course for a new path?
Okay, what is the current career that we have?
So I'm currently a content creator doing photography and video for commercial real estate.
Okay, well then you're self-employed.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know how much business there is up there in Framington for that.
Yeah. So the actual real business within is within Boston, and
that's what I was thinking.
It's pretty good.
I was thinking that's probably down there in Boston. Okay, well, I mean,
yes,
definitely.
Sir.
I mean, if you're getting into media work and stuff like that, just understand. I mean, nobody makes $1 million at it. That's not really feasible because it's an art, not a science. So, yeah, you need a competent person to be able to work the cameras and do your exposure properly and things like that, and deal with lighting conditions and so on and so forth. So there is a ceiling on how much you can make and how much you can do. So there certainly is that. So that needs to be kept in mind.
Yes, sir.
This is one of those things where, you shouldn't really get off into that really deep unless you love what you do and that you're willing to accept that there is a ceiling on it. Now, if you're not willing to accept that, you'd have to do something else. But what you've chosen is an art. Now, it is not quite as fragile as, for example, being a garage band musician or something like that, pursuing something like that. But, I mean, you do have to drum up business. You got to eat what you kill. There's a lot of competition. Anybody who gives their 8th grader a Canon camera can do what you do. So that's another thing to keep in mind. That's ever since the advent of DSLRs, that's really democratized it. So you have a never-ending stream of competition in that regard.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I understand. It's one concern I have is that being 39 years old, and I've only finished some college, and I kind of fell into this career, and it seemed comfortable at first, but that comfort was the wrong thing to pursue.
Well, the best time to fix this would have been 10 years ago. The second best time is today. Do you have any children?
No kids, single.
What you're going to have to
outright.
What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to make some decisions for yourself. First and foremost, you're going to have to decide for yourself what is the life that you wish to be living, not somebody else. What exactly does that life look like? Where exactly do you live? What exactly do you drive? What exactly is your disposable income and your savings? You have to be specific about it. You cannot be vague. You're going to have to decide what that's going to be. And that's going to determine what you do from there. And whether or not the vocation that you've chosen is the vehicle for that. There is something to be said for having enjoyment of what you do. Don't get me wrong. There is something to be said for that. However, in the words of Professor Scott Galloway, psychic satisfaction, I wonder if how satisfied the bills will be, even though you might get a large amount of psychic satisfaction out of what you do. So you're asking about should you make some changes. What that leads me to believe is that currently in the commercial real estate photography business here, you feel like you're kind of at a financial shortfall.
Yeah.
Okay. And how big would that shortfall be?
Well, my current take on would be $5,000 a month. So not exactly the 6 figures that we should be making.
Well, that's very, very true, but you're also reliant on your own work. There's only one of 2 ways that you can increase this. Number one, you'll have to charge a lot more for what you do. I don't know if that's feasible or not, but you would have to charge significantly more for what you do, or You'd have to expand your workforce, though I don't know how feasible that would be.
Right.
But specifically for what you do, those would be your only two options. I mean, like I say, you only have one person working the camera. That's all you really need. Now, maybe you have some drone footage or aerial footage or something like that. But once again, that doesn't really, it's not like you need 5 or 6 cameras to do that. So you're going to have to make a decision there. It's either you're going to have to become a lot more popular so you can increase your rates, all assuming the market can bear it. You would have to significantly increase what you charge, or, you're going to have to expand your ability to do more jobs.
Correct. Another suggestion that a friend of mine had told me is to actually get on the sales side, so I can do both ends of the spectrum. So being a video producer, but also doing the home sales as well too.
Well, that's one option for you there, but then again, have you considered doing something other than that? Because there's different types of video work out there, from short films to, music videos for independent artists to TikTok to whatever. So have you considered getting into full-fledged multimedia in that event?
Actually, yes. I do also do a little bit of family photography and events as well on the side, but it being seasonal, the money's not always there.
There is that, but there's also video editing, things like that. So, because photography is one thing, but that's a niche market. So that's what I'm saying. That's why right now, in the words of the late Bruce Williams, you've basically bought yourself a job. So the only way to deal with that is, okay, how do we expand this beyond this buying ourselves a job?
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to expand, your repertoire, or charge a lot more for what you're doing. That's what I'm saying. We're either gonna have to do more work, or we're gonna have to become valuable enough that we can charge a higher rate for the work we're already doing.
Yes, yeah.
But I think you need to, if I were you, like I say, you might want to consider looking into things, like video editing instead. For example, what kind of camera are you using?
I have a full frame Nikon for my family stuff, and also a Sony, a Sony APS-C camera.
Okay, well, you say you have a Nikon. Which model, sir?
Nikon D600.
Okay. Well, you could certainly do a lot worse than that. You say you have a Sony?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You say you have a Sony APS?
Yeah, so it's a smaller camera, but it does the work that I need for the clients I have. But again, we're about increasing ourselves. So I understand what you mean by pursuing something a little more, or should I say, leveling up.
Okay, I don't think that's the actual model number of that Sony.
Oh, excuse me. It is a Sony A6400.
Okay, you got a Sony A6400. I was about to say, I'm pretty sure that's an APS is actually more of a format, not an actual model number for it. So, okay, the only issue with that, of course, that's a rather small camera there, so it's going to be a bit underpowered. Probably does a good enough job for your photography work, but going outside of that would be a different matter. So what I'm going to say here is, once again, you're either going to increase the value of yourself, that people really want to work with you so you can charge more. That's an option. Or you're going to have to expand the suite of services that you offer.
Yes, sir.
Those are really going to be the only two options.
I'm reading in the chat. Something that concerned me is the advent of AI technology.
Okay, that has nothing. No, sir. No, this is why I always tell folks, don't read the chat rooms and whatnot. So talk about overstated. So no, sir. AI is not going to take the place of photographers or movie makers or documentarians. So what's going to happen is a whole lot of people are going to spend a whole lot of money on a whole lot of hype and find out that they got sold on a bill of goods. And that's what's going to happen there. But no, sir, AI cannot replace a writer. It can't replace a photographer. It can't replace a videographer. What we do is an art, not a science. And furthermore, like I say, I mean, how would AI come into you taking photography pictures, for example? You see what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So once again, folks are confusing what AI actually does with things that it actually can't even do. So we have a bit of education to do with folks in this regard, but no, sir, photography is an art, and it doesn't matter what you would program AI to do. It's not going to take the pictures for you. You're still having to deal with people, and people have certain sensibilities and certain preferences, and a computer algorithm is not going to be able to address that. Furthermore, it can't work the gear for you. So no, sir, that's not a concern for you.
All right. And again, at 39 years old, I feel like I've definitely missed the boat, and I'm kind of like I'm stuck in this career. Though I do very much enjoy it. One day I do want to have kids and a family.
But this is limited.
As you mentioned, there's a ceiling to all this, a ceiling to the income.
It is limited. So, I mean, basically, those are your options. You love what you do. Just understand that what you've chosen has limitations to it. So you're going to have to decide what's going to give.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. It's great to enjoy what you do. It is absolutely great to enjoy what you do, but you also must be realistic and practical about what you do. And what you do, if it has limitations and a ceiling on it, you're going to have to understand, hey, either I'm going to do the same amount of work, but make myself more valuable. However you can do that. Or you're going to have to expand the amount of work you do. And that's going to be it. So I'm not going to tell him to get a new vocation necessarily if he doesn't want to do that, but he needs to understand the limitations of what he's chosen. When you choose a field that requires individual effort, that is completely dependent on you as an individual, then just understand by definition you're only getting paid for your own labor, so you will be limited. You will be limited. We did tonight's program here as a wake-up call for the fellas. We did tonight's program here as documentation to document the numbers. As single men out there and whatnot, fellas, if you are working, you're improving yourself, you're increasing your value, you are staying focused. The world is yours right now, man. The world is yours. I didn't say everything's going to be easy for you, but what I am saying is that right now you are in the best position men have ever been in. If you're not sitting down, if you're not being lazy, if you're not slacking, if you're studying, if you are taking what is yours, you are in the best position you've ever been if you're a single man today. Single men have won. And as long as you stay focused, we will continue to win. And ladies, as long as you are our best option, you will continue to win also. Now, as long as you demonstrate that you are our best option, we gonna win, and you're gonna win just being around us. We're gonna go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. If you are new here to the business, welcome to the program that all your favorite YouTubers love to hate watch. Click that red subscribe button, click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't been to our Patreon, the link is in the description. We do it every Saturday at 12 noon Central Time. As you've heard here tonight, a lot of folks have been gamed up and informed. Hundreds of videos over there now. Huge library to backlog from here. Credit card workshop, skill trade workshop, freight broker workshop, IT workshop. One stop here. A repository of information that you will find nowhere else. And of course, with the 3 words that nobody else will say, call me back. I don't just sit up here and drop something in people's laps and then away we go. When I finish talking to you, by the way, call me back. No appointment necessary, no call screener in your way. We don't discuss high value men, we build high value men. And we are continuing to do so. I want to thank all of you for joining us for tonight's program. Thank you to everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program. They've been messing with the Cash App and everything else here. But I want to thank all of you who have contributed to support the program. So thank you very much for your support in that regard. We appreciate that. Thank you to all of you who have watched us live or recorded. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of The Business. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, Mr. Jason Black. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, handle your business or your business will handle you.